Velkomin í Stamvarpið. Þetta þáttur númer 4. Tókum okkur dálítið góða pásu og ætlum að byrja aftur núna að taka upp. Gesturinn núna heitir Satu Nygren og hún frá Finnlandi og viðtalið mun fara fram á ensku. Þannig að bara var ykkur við. And yeah, so what I've done sometimes is that I explain to people that if they hear like a weird sound or like the sound stops, there's nothing wrong with your equipment. It's just us stuttering.
Yeah, right. So that you all know.
Yeah, so you all know. Okay, so Satu, welcome on the show and thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
It's really good to have you here. So in Malbjörg we have our annual meeting in a few days, and so we asked you to come, or we figured out that maybe you could come. We could invite you to Iceland to the annual meeting to introduce this new translation of a handbook. So, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit later on the show. You can explain to us. But it's a while back when I was thinking about, okay, who can we get on the show? I thought about you because I think you're a person who's like a good role model. And you stutter yourself, of course, and you've done really interesting things in your life, and you're like active and doing interesting stuff. And then you're also involved in the stuttering community, and that's how we met, like, I don't know, 12, 13, 14 years ago maybe. And then you're also a part of this Stamily project, which is really interesting. So maybe I could just start by, like, if you could just tell us about yourself and where you're from and like a little bit about your background.
Yes, sir. So, hi, I'm Satu from Finland. I come from Finland, but I have lived in several other countries too. So when I was a bit younger, I was living 1 year in Sweden. And then later on, I moved to Iceland for 5 years. And I think that's also one reason why I'm now here in this podcast today, because I have been also involved in the Icelandic Stuttering Association.
Yeah,
Malbjörg.
exactly, yeah.
And currently, I'm living now in the Netherlands, and I'm completing my degree in psychology. So I'm now doing master's degree right now.
Okay.
And what comes to stuttering, I have been involved in the stuttering communities since I was very young. I think around from age 7 or 8 years old. I went there to speech therapy course back in the days, and then from those courses, what I did with my so like it was like a course where you went with your family. So it was like we went there. We went somewhere for a week, and then there was like a different speech therapy activities and getting to know each other. And I went there for a couple of years. And then after it, the parents who were involved, so like our like parents who were with us in these speech therapy camps, they wanted to form an association for children who stutter. So then they established a new association. And then when I was a bit older, around 16, then this Finnish Stuttering Association for Children they merged together with the Finnish Stuttering Association, because we already had like the main association for everyone, but then we merged as one association.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so when you were 7 years old and you started this, so was it like a week camp that you went to, and and you had speech therapy there with more children who stuttered?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And
exactly.
was it like a speech therapist who organized this, or like how did this? How was it organized, basically?
Yeah, so it was several speech therapists who had it together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. And the parents were involved as well.
Yeah, because we were staying there such a long time and we were so young, so then the whole family came with you.
Okay.
So, it was like this family camp at the same time. It was,
That sounds pretty cool. I mean, I guess as well for the parents to sort of, so that they also see each other. Because often, I think, the other day I met parents of an acquaintance of mine, like he stutters and he's already probably 30 or something, and they were telling me, like when he was young, they felt really nervous and like bad because they thought they had done something wrong, and maybe because there wasn't too much talking about stuttering or whatever. And I was sort of not surprised, but I hadn't heard this point of view before. So then I thought, like it's such a good thing maybe also for parents to see each other and for them to meet adults who stutter as well,
Yeah, I think it's very important that the parents and the whole family is involved, so they can also understand better like what stuttering is.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
They get also tips from the professionals how to handle the stuttering in the home and environment. So I think it is very important that the whole family is on the same page and collaborates together.
Yeah. And did you like it? Was it fun? And like, did you make friends with the other kids? Like, how was the experience?
Yeah, I think that the experience was very nice to me. Like, of course, back in the days when I was very young, that stuttering didn't really bother me. So I didn't maybe really realize that the real reason why we really were there. But
interesting.
It was also more of this like
it was just like a camp.
Like a nice place to be. But I think when I was very young, I really didn't think about it that much. I stuttered in every word, but it really didn't bother me.
Okay.
It was just more in later age when other children started to point out that I have a stutter. Then I became more aware of it, but I didn't really hear it myself.
Yeah. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. And so your parent must have also just accepted it, like they didn't point it out, or...
Yeah, like, of course, like, when I was young, I went to speech therapy from a very young age on. I think I was probably 6 years old when I started it.
Yeah.
But they were very supportive with it. But and I always went to speech therapy and it was fine for me. But since I didn't see it as a problem, I went there and I did some practices and then
you just
left again.
You just, I guess when you're a kid, you just do what you're told.
Yeah.
And you're
exactly.
just, okay, whatever.
Exactly. You don't really question it like, why am I here? You just like, I do things as like, okay, this is the a normal thing now to do. So
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And did you, I'm curious about because I only did speech therapy when I was probably 12 or something. But was it fun? Like how, like what sort of therapy was it? Was it like, did they use games and stuff? And was it interesting, like for a kid?
Yeah, when I was younger, I think we had many different type of games and activities that we did. I don't really very clearly remember all of it, but I remember that it was okay. But then at some point, it also got a bit boring in a way because I had no motivation to go to speech therapy because I didn't see any purpose of it. But then I had some break from speech therapy for some years, and I went back around the age of 16, and then I was actually motivated for it.
Okay.
So then I was more like also doing the homework, and so what I didn't do when I was younger.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, the homework. Interesting about this motivation thing, like you say, if you're not bothered about it, then it's like, why? But also it's interesting in terms of our point of view today, I think. That's like more, and I don't know when it started, this sort of accepting the stutter, and I call it stutter pride. And, we stutter and we're allowed and we can just be how we are and we don't need speech therapy. Like that's, we can if we want to, but it's not necessary. So that's like ideas that I only got to know when I was 21 or 2, when I started joining like the stutters community. So the ELSA youth meetings that we've talked about a little bit before on the podcast. And so we met in a setting like that when there was a European, what was it called? A European association, which was just umbrella association for all the stuttering associations in Europe. And they had like youth meetings every other year, I think.
Yeah, I don't remember how often they were, not every year, but every other or every third year.
Yeah, it was about that.
Yeah, I went to my first ELSA youth meeting when I was 20.
Yeah.
And I had very similar type of experience as you. So it was very open and environment, and you felt that you were allowed to stutter, and I think it was very eye-opening experience for me, because earlier in my life it had been so much of like speech therapy focused, and then when I attended to this meeting for the first time, I've really felt that it's okay to stutter.
Yeah,
and you don't have to hide it or apologize for it. Mm-hmm. And it was a very powerful experience, because we were in this youth meeting with 20, 30 other young people who stutter. So they were all my age. Mm-hmm. And it was a bit different from for example, from the Finnish Stuttering Association, where we have all ages together, and sometimes there were not so many people of my age. But when I came to this environment where there were just like 20, 30 people who were like around the same age as me, and everyone were very like positive and encouraging, and I feel that we really changed something in me, and now it has been like quite many years after it, and I think I still carry that experience with me, and it has like inspired to me to do other projects to like spread around the world that it's okay to stutter.
Mm-hmm. Spread the joy.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what we're always trying to do. We're trying to like engage people to come to, to realize like how important it can be for one to like engage in a community like this.
Exactly.
And with other people who stutter. Because I think often people are a bit hesitant. Maybe they know about the associations, but I don't know. Like in my case, like I had, like my life like was fine. Like I had friends and, and a job, and I went to school and stuff like that. But it's not like I thought about myself like, oh, I stutter, I've got problems. It wasn't like a drama. But just participating in these social events really gave me something. Like it really boosts your self-esteem, and it really can change.
Exactly.
So that's why we're always trying to get more people to join us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I have heard like that some people have an idea of stuttering association, that it is this place where all people gather together and complain like how like
sob.
Yeah, like
sob club.
like how like awful their life is with the stuttering, and it is something very depressing and confronting. And of course it might be confronting too when you see other people who stutter before you get really used to it. But I think that in these stuttering meetups, like we spread more positivity, and encourage each other.
Definitely. Yeah, there's something about meeting like loads of like different people, and they're all doing different things.
And like of course you still share your struggles with the. Stuttering is like a safe space to share your experiences, but it's like also about a positive side, that we are actually capable of so much more than we think.
And we're not, definitely. And we're not just talking about stuttering all the time. We are stuttering all the time, but we're not necessarily talking about it all the time.
Exactly.
But there's another point there, because it's funny. Yeah, because it can be, it's like we know with anything else, it's good to talk about your struggles with somebody who knows, who like understands from their own experience. It's like very, like relieving that to meet somebody who has a similar experience. But what it's also good for is that we can make fun of the people who of some weird situation that we find ourselves in, or we can make fun of people who speak with us and they don't stutter themselves and they freak out or they react in a weird way. So we also do that. We laugh at the fluence ones. Sorry, guys.
It can be like a very funny when you are with your friends and you all stutter, and then this like you go there out to the word to some like to some situations, and then just like observe what happens. I still like remember, and I have like heard like other like people also speaking about similar type of like situations, but when you are just like with a big stuttering group together, and then you go to a restaurant to like order something, and every single like a person in their order tastes just like a stutter, and you can see that the face of the waiter just like getting so confused, like what's going on?
Fucking hell. They're just gonna run and take a quick order, but then it takes like 20 minutes just to get the order for the drinks.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry. Yeah, you can, we get ourselves into funny, weird situations like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So did you have like a sort of a straight, like from your, from 7 years old and like up to now, have you always, like this whole time, been active in some sort of stuttering activities?
Yeah, more or less. I think until I was 20, more in Finland, but then when I attended this ELSA youth meeting, it was in England. Then after it, I also became more open for international meetings.
Yeah.
And that meeting also really inspired me and I got me some type of like encouragement that I can actually live abroad too. So then I moved a little bit after the first ELSA youth meeting to Sweden for 1 year.
Right. Yeah.
And without this meeting, I would have never done that. I never had a courage to do that.
Yeah.
And then I also got familiar with Stuttering Association in Sweden. So I went to their youth camp in Sweden. And it was an interesting challenge too, because this camp is in Swedish.
Right.
and like we learned Swedish in school, but like of course my spoken Swedish was not in that good level, but yeah, it really did help when you are just put into this type of situation.
Yeah, you just have to pick it up.
Yeah, so so I made friends and new connections there in Sweden too, and through the stuttering community, and I think that is one of the things, like, what is very nice in this stuttering community and what many of my fluent friends are very jealous about, that you make connections like all over the world. So you just have this like big friend net work, and you kind of connect very fast with people because you share stuttering. It's your like common connector. So yeah, it's
I've had that as well with my friends because I used to go to stuttering conferences abroad every year probably, or like a lot of the time, because we have there was the European youth meetings, and then each year there is a Nordic conference that has expanded a little bit, and then there's the World Congress, so there's lots of things going on. And I had this from my friends as well, like, oh, you're always doing something fun. And just so people know, here in Iceland, I'm just going to slip in an advertisement now that Málbjörg Stuttering Association fully supports financially people to go. We pay for it if you want to go to a stuttering conference, but only if you have a stutter. So if you don't have a stutter, you could learn.
That's what many of my friends say to me, like, oh, maybe I should just learn to stutter so I can join you into these meetings.
It's funny because of course, like most people think that I wish I didn't stutter. And of course, when you stutter a lot, and it can be very difficult. Even if you accept your stuttering and everything, like it can still be like difficult in certain situations and stuff. But also, like for me, and I think for some people, for more people, it's also realizing, oh, if I didn't have a stutter, I wouldn't have all these friends all over the world, and I wouldn't have. There's so many things I wouldn't have done, or I wouldn't have had this personal growth if I didn't have a stutter. Like you were saying with moving to Sweden and like getting the courage. And maybe it wasn't just the stuttering stopping you. Maybe it was also just, I don't know, something else. So I think also having a stutter and then getting through the social activities more confidence, you grow as a person, and it like opens up new things.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes it's like interesting to think about, like, if I hadn't have a stutter, where would I be now? Maybe still living in Finland?
Yeah, with a boring life.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely. No. Oh no, sorry.
Yeah, who knows?
It would be completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you moved to Sweden, but then you have lived in Iceland, as you told us before.
Exactly. So then after Sweden, I moved back to Finland for a while, but I somehow felt like that I wanted to see more world, and I wasn't done yet because I was in Sweden just for 1 year. So then back then I met someone who is from Iceland, and we started a relationship. So then I was thinking like, okay, maybe this is a good time to explore a bit more, and maybe I could try to live in Iceland for 1 year and just like try it out how it would be.
Yeah.
So then I applied for some job, and then I got it, and I moved here. But then after 1 year, I wasn't still ready to go. So I attended my year a bit, and then it ended up to be, instead of 1 year, 5 years.
5 years, wow, yeah.
So
that's quite a long time.
It is, yeah. And I think that I think it was very like important, like a time for me. Like when I was here, I think I really grew up to be very independent and like stand on my own. And also like through living here, I actually got involved with youth exchanges. So the youth exchanges for young people who stutter that are funded by Erasmus+.
Yeah.
Because there was somebody who was contacting the Icelandic Stuttering Association and asking if there would be a volunteer from the association who would like to be involved in this European project where we bring young people who stutter from different European countries for cultural exchange.
Yeah.
And first it was actually going to be somebody else who was going to go, but then he had to cancel. And so then I replaced him. So it just happened very randomly. Yeah. And ever since I have been involved in this youth exchanges. Yeah. So in the first 3 years, we had the exchanges in Italy, and then now we have moved to the Netherlands. So we have had 4 or 5. I cannot even like count how many we have had now, but we have it now every summer. Yeah.
And this is when, so we were talking about the European Association before, but this is, so that the youth meetings that we went to, that stopped and this took over,
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
And is these youth exchanges you're talking about now, is that part of Stamily? Because Stamily is I love the name, is a very interesting group or a thing that I would like to hear more about, and then the exchanges as well.
Yeah, so first when we started this youth exchanges, because when you apply funding for these youth exchanges, you have to apply to an organization. So the first years we were actually applying through another organization, but a couple of years ago we switched to Stamily. So now we are applying through Stamily. Stamily is like also like very young organization. So it was just established around the Corona times.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the international association for all ages. So like whoever wants can become a member. Yeah. And it's for connecting all the people who stutter together, and then we have a different online meetings together, and once in a year we have usually had in a person meeting too.
Yeah,
and it's run by members, so every member can contribute in some way, and yeah, you can do like a different type of like a project, or like a different type of like meeting. So it's like very free.
Yeah, and this is individual based, so it's not like the association of different countries are part of it, but this is just like me, Guðbjörg, I can join it.
Yes.
You know, so it's just individuals like all over the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's a great, it's such a great thing, I think.
It is.
And how did it, like, were you one of the starting members of it?
No, but it began from the youth exchange that we organized. So in one of our youth exchanges, there were a few people who came up with this idea. So from there, it started to develop.
Yeah, nice. So just a way to like connect with your friends and like keep everyone together.
Yeah, and like more just like do something like together to spread more awareness of the stuttering and help other people who stutter.
Yeah.
And I think that the main idea behind it was that we had this great youth exchange week together, but it's just a week and then it becomes to an end, and you want to have some type of like continuity.
Yeah.
And you want to kind of like progress from that place too, and create something more lasting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the youth exchange, that's 1 week during the summer. So it's like an intensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a bit over a week, but around 1 week.
Yeah. And so, what are the more activities that Stamily offers? You told us about online meetings, for example.
Yeah.
Like, is that once a month, or how does that work?
Yeah. So it is really based on the interest of the different organizers. So like whoever can from the Stamily community can set up a meeting, and there is different teams. Like for example, Stamily has something called Stamily, and friends where you connect with other people who stutter. Sometimes you have also more like lecture or interview based activities too. So somebody's interviewed for an audience, or you can have a game night. It's many are different things.
And So it's just what people come up with. They can just do it and ask people to join. And
Exactly. And then we have this in a person meeting. We are actually now going to have it in October in Prague.
Yeah.
And the main idea of the meeting is like that we gather all together and brainstorm about new ideas, what we can do for a Stamily, and also if there's like a time and a space, like create something to together. So it's like at the same time you meet other people from a Stamily, but then you also work together on projects during that in-person meeting.
Yeah. And this is for all ages, like the meeting in Prague. That's not just youth.
No.
So some people who are not youth anymore, they could join.
Of course. It's for so the Stamily is open for all ages.
Yeah. No ageism there.
No.
Cool. Good. And you have something called Stamily cafes? No, what is it called?
Yeah, Stamily cafes.
Because I see sometimes pictures online where it's like, so some people gather together and they take a picture and it's like, we are here, where are you?
Exactly.
What's that about?
So you can also, as a member of a Stamily, you can start in your own city a Stamily cafe, because I think there was need for people also meet a little bit more often and locally, because we have only this like in a person meeting once in a year, and so this is the way how people can also meet in between the big in-person meeting. So like whoever can start a Stamily cafe in their city and start a smaller activity group.
Yeah. Nice. Cool. I just became a member, actually.
Oh,
yeah, just a few days ago. Thank you.
You're now part of us.
Yes. Yeah, finally, because I took a break from the community for some years, and we saw each other the other day in the Nordic conference in Tartu in Estonia. And it was very nice to see you again.
You too.
And to see other old friends. And I just realized like it's been way more time than I thought. So it's interesting. But when you see these people you've known from before, you just like, you don't feel like it's been that long. It's like meeting friends, like old friends, like, it's just like we saw each other last year. It's
exactly. And I think that especially the Nordic stuttering seminar where we just met in September. It is this a once in a year event that you meet your friends, and then some of them you don't see for a year again. So it's this kind of like meeting point every a year. So the first weekend of the September we will meet again.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like for some people it's a fixed weekend in their calendar.
Exactly.
Because and that's good as well to have you always know when it is, so you can can sort of plan it.
Exactly.
And that's, but the Nordics has changed a little bit. It used to be only like the Nordic countries, and then the countries took turn in hosting it. But now it's opened up a bit more. So we have, people from different countries participating, and it's also like now in Estonia.
Yeah, so around 4 or 5 years ago, Estonia hosted their first Nordic seminar. Maybe it was more than 4 or 5 years ago, but yeah. So now it was their second time hosting the Nordic seminar, and there are also people from outside other, people from outside of the Nordic countries who are attending, and I think it really started that more people outside the Nordics really got interested in it around the same time when we had these ELSA youth meetings, because we started to invite them to our Nordic seminar, so then it kind of like grew, and now it has become a norm that there will be people from around the world. I think the first places have been like Canada and US, where some people have come from.
To the Nordic conference.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Oh, it's nice. It's inclusive.
Exactly.
Yeah, I guess it's... I remember when I was going to the youth meetings, and they probably happened in July maybe or something. And then like when you've been, I don't know, because you were saying before, you make like quick connections with people, or like, you become close, like maybe quicker, because we have, the stuttering and the experience that comes along with it in common. So I remember after the week, because you would stay there for a week, and of course when you went home it was a bit sad.
Yeah, exactly.
But then you had the Nordic meeting to look forward to.
Yeah,
so that was good. It was just like, in 2 months' time, it's fine.
Exactly, and I feel like even though this youth exchange weekend becomes to an end, you always know that there is going to be the next stuttering event in some form coming up. So it's good to have this type of like continuity, because you always feel very inspired and motivated after you have been in this youth camp or some other stuttering event. But then if you have very like long break in between, you start to like slowly lose your motivation, but you can activate it by attending again to these meetings. So,
and I felt that now, and I think there was one of our friends as well. She was talking about it in Estonia the other day as well, because I haven't been involved for 12 years or something crazy like that, and I felt, maybe I didn't realize it, I think I only realized it when I came back, is that I was sort of more aware and maybe worried about my stuttering. Not like worried, but more like self-conscious about it, and like almost like trying not to stutter, or just like hoping I wouldn't stutter too much, because often, like we know, it's not maybe the stuttering as such. Like, I'm not ashamed if I stutter, speaking to people or in different situations. But what's difficult sometimes is that people don't notice that you're about to speak, so they just speak, or you can't express yourself like you wanted to. You know, it's like a bigger, because I think often people who don't stutter, they think it's about that we're embarrassed, like that the main problem is that we're embarrassed about stuttering. But that's not, for me at least, that's not the core point. What's most difficult is that you might not be able to say the things at the moment you want to say them, or or that sort of thing. So I realized when I was in the Nordic conference the other day, where of course everybody stutters, that it was sort of in the back of my mind, and then I was like, oh no, I'm fine. I'm supposed to stutter here. You don't, you know. So it can be very subtle, these thoughts about or worries about stuttering, even though you're like almost proud of it and you don't want to change it necessarily. So
yeah, exactly. And it's when you are the only person in the room who stutters, it feels a bit different than when you are just when everybody around you stutters, or a few people around you stutters. I also think it's very sometimes hard to really take a space to speak if you are in these group situations where there is many people speaking, and they are speaking on each other and in very fast pace. And how do you take your space and start to like speak? You have to really put like a push forward to get your own turn. But if you are not really, if you don't really dare to put yourself out there and like push yourself, like, okay, now it's my turn to speak. It will like never be your turn to speak, and it can be very hard situation when you have a stutter. I very often think about it because sometimes, you have to be like. Sometimes I put myself out there in a way that I really take my space to speak. And then it very often crosses my mind, like, what if I would not be able to do this? I would not speak in this situation at all.
Yeah, you're talking about a situation like you're at a party or something and there's loads of people and you have to like jump into the conversation and...
Exactly.
Yeah, I find I completely relate to that. I think those can be the most difficult ones.
Yeah.
Because for me and for some people who stutter, it's easier to like do a speech or a lecture, because then you're supposed to talk, everybody else is supposed to shut up, because that's the setup.
Exactly.
Like if you're teaching or you're presenting something at school or whatever. And then if you stutter, it's fine because they're supposed to listen to you anyway.
Exactly.
But I completely relate to that and then because there's lots of people and everybody's like, there's like a high rhythm or like, then often people also don't notice that you're going to say something. They don't notice that you've started talking. Well, you started stuttering maybe, but in like 1-on-1 or like 3 people speaking, then people notice, oh, she's actually talking, she's just stuttering. So they listen.
Yeah, it's a bit easier when the group gets smaller, for sure. And yeah, it is very, when you are in this big group situation and try to push your like voice forward, it can be very tiring for you. Like even though you would be able to do it, but you just feel mentally so like exhausted after it. But yeah, what you mentioned earlier about presentation situations, they are my favorite situations, because then I can say, okay, now I can just speak and everybody are gonna listen to me. Except once I had this very strange situation. I had a presentation in the university when I was living back, when I was still living here in Iceland. And I actually had, during my presentation, I was stuttering and somebody was actually filling in my words while I was giving a presentation.
Really?
I was so shocked because I didn't expect that it would ever happen, and because I always feel like that. Yeah, now there's my space, and I can just take like as a long time as I want. But yeah, it has once happened to me during a presentation.
That's so weird. Yeah.
It was just very strange.
And was it a big group?
It
was watching or listening?
It wasn't that big group, just like a small classroom, and they all like knew that I have a stutter. So I don't know, maybe it was just some like impulse from someone or something. Yeah. It happened just once, but it didn't ever cross my mind that it could have ever happened. And after that, it has never happened. But there can be this like outliers sometimes happening, like these weird situations.
Wow. Yeah, maybe they wanted to help, or they felt really uncomfortable. Because I think often maybe that's the case, or we know just when we're speaking to people that often they feel uncomfortable. We're okay because we know what's happening, and we've stuttered like since we started to talk or something. But then other people don't know what's going on, so they freak out.
Exactly.
So maybe that was the case at the uni. Somebody
could be. Like I felt it was probably more just some like some type of like automatic reaction or something. I don't think it was anything like bad intended, but never come across this type of situation ever before.
Exactly. Wow. Yeah, it's interesting the different reactions from people.
Yeah.
So they talk about, I think, I heard a woman say, I was doing a course at the Arts University, and it's called just inclusion. So it's about, how it's just to learn about different like groups and different people in society and how we should just try and have an inclusive culture. And one woman came. She's an academic tutor, and she has CP as well, and he uses a wheelchair, for instance. And she was talking about, she teaches at the University of Iceland, and she was saying how, we have this script in each society, we have this unwritten script. And that's like the things just like how we behave, the things like how we expect things to be. And she was saying as a wheelchair user that when she comes into a new space and there's people that she doesn't know, everybody gets a bit stiff, or she sees a change in people because it's not in the script.
Yeah.
And I think and I really related to what she said. I think that's exactly also for us who stutter, because we're used to speaking should be in such and such a way. And we have a rhythm to language, and there's like rules in how you reply and how you use your voice. There's a rhythm to it somehow. And then we come in and we break this. We break this rhythm, and then everybody freaks out, because they don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I think very common way how people react to it is that they either look away or they laugh. And I think it's really coming from that they are just they just feel very surprised and uncomfortable in the situation, and it's their like first reaction because they don't know really what to do. But of course, when you are a person who stutters, you might really interpret it as a rejection.
Yeah.
Even though in the end it's not about you.
Yeah, it's about them. Yeah.
It's about the uncomfort or just like the comfort of the other a person, or just that they don't know what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it's especially difficult when you're a kid or a teenager. You don't really realize that as well. You think and maybe when you're grown up as well, yeah, if somebody starts to laugh, it's like, oh, they're laughing at me. But actually, often it's because it's like a neurotic laugh.
Yeah.
It's because they don't know what's going on. I've had laughing a lot as well because because people think that I'm acting something, that I'm like trying to be silly or trying to be funny. Because sometimes I do that. But then I'm just stuttering. So I've got hilarious stories about people laughing, and then I'm just stuttering, and they think I'm making a sketch or whatever. And then I finish what I'm saying, and then I explain to them at the end, oh, I have a stutter, so that's what I was doing. And people just go, oh, I'm so sorry. You know, they go white in the face, like pale. And, you know, because nobody wants to be the person who laughs at somebody.
It's I can just imagine it's very embarrassing a situation.
Yeah. I always think it's a bit funny, like inside.
Yeah.
I'm stuttering, so I'm just, you know, and sometimes I stutter way more than I do now. I apologize. I need to try and stutter more in these podcasts. It's better now because I'm speaking English, so I stutter a bit more in English. But, yeah, so people are laughing. I'm stuttering like mad. And I kind of have a laughter inside because I know, oh, that's very bad though. But sort of, I think it's a little bit funny.
Yeah, well, I think
that's very bad of me though. Sorry. Okay.
Well, in a way, I think it's actually a better a reaction than being like ashamed of it, that you feel entertained by it. So.
Yeah. That's like, oh, and I'm going to tell you later and you're going to feel shit. No. Yeah, but it's interesting. So do you do like, because some people explain to people, I have a stutter, you know, just explain to them what's going on. Do you find that? Do you do that? Do you find it helpful?
It really depends on the situation when I do it. If I'm just meeting up somebody very briefly, then I don't really see reason for it. But of course, if I'm starting a friendship with someone, then I usually mention it at some point. For me, I'm so much involved in the stuttering community, and I'm traveling quite much because of the stuttering too. So it comes up very naturally in the conversations because, it's kind of like part of my everyday life. And also in the university, I usually tell the class that I have a stutter, and I let our teacher to know as well, because in the past I have had an experience actually not just one experience, but a few like experiences, but from like very different like times. So like some experience when I was like really like a teenager, and then also one experience from the university where during the so in the presentation situation, my lack of fluency has been evaluated.
Mm-hmm.
And so I find it always very important, like that I also let the teacher to know about the stuttering, because I don't want to end up in these situations again that I'm reading some feedback form after my presentation and there is some remarks about stuttering or fluency. So I want that they would know about it before the presentation, so I can just present without pressure that, maybe they are gonna say something about it.
Exactly, yeah. And are you referring, because you told me about this before, are you referring to the thing that happened here at the University of Iceland?
Yeah,
because
exactly.
you went to, were you study Icelandic here, or what were you?
No, I was.
What were you studying here?
I was actually in this 1 year program in the University of Iceland, doing academic English.
Mm-hmm.
I like presenting, and I had already in that in that point I had quite much experience from the presenting, because I had been doing it much in the stuttering community, giving different type of presentations and speeches. So, and my teacher was very aware that I have a stutter, because I had the same teacher in other classes before, and I had been speaking about the stuttering very openly. And despite that she was very aware of it. When I looked at my feedback form after my presentation, she had been written some remarks about that fluency wasn't very good. I don't still remember exactly what she said, but yeah, it was some comments about the fluency. So after the class, I went to ask from her, can you explain what does this mean here on the feedback form? And she said that she wrote it there because my speech is not fluent, that I have sometimes some breaks, some pauses in my speech.
Really?
Yeah, and then I was to her, you know that I have a stutter, that I have explained it many times before.
Oh
and
my God.
She said, I'm aware of it, but since this is a presentation course, so I have to evaluate this fluency aspect too, that in other courses, because it wasn't the first time I was giving a presentation in her class. So in other classes, I had given presentations too, and then it had not been an issue. But since it was presentation course, then there was an issue. And she said to me that I should have gotten exemption from the disability department of the university, so then it could have been exempted during this specific presentation course.
Oh, so it would, so you would have had to go through official some what do you say, to get a special to go through the administration of the disability. How do you? Oh, sorry, some of my English words are gone now. So go through official means.
Exactly.
So you wouldn't be downgraded on this.
Exactly.
I still think this is very strange and not fair at all.
No, and it was very strange, because in the end, she didn't lower my grade because of stuttering, which I was very happy, but she still had to write that remark to my paper, like, if it's not even affecting to my grade, why do you have to then write it there?
Because obviously you know.
Of course, there's like breaks and pauses in my speech. So I just found it very, very strange.
Yeah.
And now when I'm back into a university in the Netherlands, so I'm, because of this experience that I have had before in Iceland, I want to always make sure that it's not gonna be repeated. Because usually the teachers, they don't really discriminate, or they don't really react on this way. But I still cannot know 100% sure, and I just don't want to go through the same thing again when it has already happened. So it's kind of good to react on it before it happens.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And what are you studying in the Netherlands?
So I study psychology.
Okay.
Yeah. I did my my bachelor's in psychology, with the courses of a different type of fields of psychology, and now I'm in my master's. I'm doing it in specialization of economic and consumer psychology.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
It is.
You told me a little bit about that the other day. And you like it? You're happy?
Yeah.
In the Netherlands?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's it's at the same time very challenging, the university, but I think I have learned a lot, and very valuable knowledge and a skill. So I'm very happy. I'm very happy with my university and overall being in the Netherlands.
Yeah. And you're very well trained in adapting to different situations.
Exactly.
With living in different countries.
Exactly.
And yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell me about this handbook that you're going to present it for us in our annual meeting in a few days. Can you share with us how this project came about and who's behind it and how it's been working on it?
Yes, so this project is called as a manual for young people who stutter. So
manual. Sorry. Oh.
Yeah,
that's
or
the word.
It's like a manual, or it's this actually in a form of online tool. So it's you can find it from the Stamily's website right now, and it's created by people who stutter to people who stutter, and
nice.
It's for all ages, even though we were concentrating on young people in this manual, it can be still applied to people of all ages. Not maybe to very small children, but more people who can read and understand more of more of this how do you say it? Who can really like read a manual or a book and like really understand what it is about, and it's so it's partially based on scientific knowledge, and then our own knowledge too. So it's like merged together. And it basically is like it's like a manual where you can learn more about the stuttering. So it consists of factual information about stuttering, but also like in the approach that you are maybe able to learn something more about yourself and your own stuttering. And so we have this manual consists of two different parts. So first it's more factual part, and then we have the more interactive part where you can make yourself a plan if there is something what you wanna change related to your stuttering. If you have some goals, for instance, if you have fear of public speaking, how you can take steps to slowly to make yourself more comfortable to give speeches in front of people. And there is also parts where you can explore like more about like what is important for you, what are your values, so you kind of get to know yourself better, and also you get to know your stuttering better. So overall the manual is very interactive. We have included questions and like a small like a task to do, or a small quizzes like throughout the manual. So you can you can read it very interactively.
Yeah, cool. It's really it's also reassuring that it's also written by people who stutter themselves.
Exactly.
So it's not just like the specialists, who have studied stutter that sort of tell you what to do, because often it can be helpful, but often it's also sometimes there's a little bit of clash there as well. So I like it how it's written by people who stutter.
Yeah, like what
for the most part, right?
Yeah, like what makes it especially interesting is because so a few of our team members, they are people who stutter, but they are also speech therapists.
Oh, right.
So they are both at the same time, and I think it really gives this like very interesting aspect to the manual too. And some of us has a more psychology background too.
Yeah.
So it's like knowledge from a different fields, and we have combined it together. But then we all also really understand stuttering because we all experience it.
Yeah, exactly. Is it helpful for parents as well, or parents of children who stutter?
Yeah, I think so. Like both for parents and then also for the speech therapists, just to like learn more about stuttering. I think for sure.
Yeah, to get like maybe a better insight.
Exactly.
And
I think that also the speech therapists who are not very familiar with the stuttering, I think it can be like a very good insight to them to like learn more about the stuttering, and they could also use like a part of it in their own work too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because of course, not every speech therapist specializes in stuttering. There's actually quite a few who specializes in stuttering because it's kind of a different and more complex thing often.
Exactly. It's like surprisingly like how like few actually know about stuttering, and sometimes they get clients who stutter and then they don't know what to do with them.
Just speak. Exactly, because it's different, and I guess there's more like speech impediments, as they call it. They're probably all very different. I'm not very familiar, but yeah, that's what I've heard, and I think it makes sense that it's kind of different to work with a person who stutters than a person who is who's training to be able to pronounce certain sounds or whatever, you know.
Yeah,
that's more like a technical thing.
Yeah, and it's like because in many other types of speech therapies, it's more concentrating like fixing something, but then in stuttering you cannot do the fixing, so you have to do actually like something else, and it can be for many, it can be very challenging to do something completely else.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, and I think that's something that more people should hear about.
Exactly.
That we don't, or like that's not acknowledged in society. Maybe that stuttering actually can't be fixed, because I think we still get questions like, "Oh, and can you get cure from that? You know, is there a cure for that?" And you're like, "Oh,
yeah."
So is that like, how do you experience this sort of fixing idea?
Yeah, like it's like usually if somebody who doesn't really know so much about the stuttering, the first question what you get, like, have you ever tried a speech therapy? So it comes very like, often from the fixing point of view, which is which can be very very harmful to for people who stutter to hear this type of feedback, because
definitely,
because in the end you cannot completely fix stuttering. Of course, there is like ways you can modify your stuttering if you want to, but you don't have to if you don't want. But you cannot completely just remove it if you are not like of course if you are a young child. Sometimes they just grow over it. But when you are grown up, it's gonna just follow you rest of your life. So I think instead of fixing, you should more become just friends with your stuttering, like that. It is like a part of you.
Yeah.
And,
become friends with it. Oh, it looks nice.
Exactly.
Or it sounds nice. Yeah.
Yeah, but like of course I want to emphasize too that it's like everyone's personal decision what they want to do. Like if you wanna use a speech techniques, you can use a speech techniques, or if you don't want to use them, you don't use them. But but I think that the past like so the past idea of the treatment of stuttering has concentrated too much of fixing, which is not actually possible to do.
Yeah.
And it actually just creates you more like anxiety.
Definitely, yeah.
Exactly.
And I think you grow up, because I had a little bit of speech therapy when I was a kid, and then again when I was a teenager / young person. And what this does is that it makes you feel more like there's something wrong with you, and that you have to fix it. You have to be fixed. And what it also does, because you were talking earlier about homework, so you go to a speech therapist, and then you do something with them, and then they encourage you to try and use some of the techniques in your daily life. And if you don't, like some people, I don't think I was a very good student in that way. You feel bad. You feel like, oh, it's my fault because I still stutter, because I'm not hardworking enough. And even that's not, nobody says that to you. It's like an idea that's like lurking under there.
Yeah, exactly.
Somehow.
Yeah.
So I think I've been thinking about this quite a lot for the past year, about the speech therapy focus, And I think because I completely, when I started to join stuttering community 20 years ago, maybe a bit more, I was completely cured from this trying to fix the stutter. I was like, so happy that I could just get rid of that, and it was fine that I had a stutter. But then also just come to know more people, speech therapy has been beneficial to some people, and some people want to use certain techniques to have more fluency. And that's great. And it's just like you're saying, like different things work for different people. And I think it's important to have this focus of, if you want to do it, that you're trying to have more fluency rather than I'm trying to not stutter.
Exactly.
So you have like an opposite focus point.
Yeah.
Because if you're just trying to not stutter, then you're always doing something wrong, because you can't really control it in such a way. So it's like you're failing all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then it's kind of, you enter this anxious loop that you just get more and more anxious, like, why am I not able to do this?
Exactly.
And it's very interesting when you just let this idea to go.
Yeah.
And you allow yourself to stutter, then you actually feel much more in control in the end.
That's interesting.
Of yourself.
Yeah.
Or I don't know if it's the same experience for everyone, but for me personally, it has helped. When I just let it be there. Yeah.
Yeah.
You start to feel much more in a control of it.
That's really interesting. It's like empowering in a way, because stuttering in a way is sort of losing control a little bit, and that's why I like how you're phrasing this about, if you also just allow it to be, you're more in control. So that's an interesting idea.
You can still stutter and still feel in control at the same time. Both of those things can happen at the same time.
Exactly.
And it's so great when you once realize that.
I guess it's and that's why it's so important to be empowered and to be to accept it and to have self-esteem and regardless of your stuttering or not. Because then you can just be more grounded in it, even though I'm speaking and I'm stuttering, and while I'm stuttering, I can still be like sort of calm and grounded and like be in such a way that I have the focus or I have the word is mine, you know, and not being sort of anxious about it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really interesting. I hadn't thought about. I just like the way you phrased it with you're in control when you're not in control. I don't know. There's just something interesting about that idea.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Cool. And so, so back to the manual, which I have been speaking about. Handbook, which is like handbók in Icelandic. Sorry about my stupidity.
I actually think that in Icelandic and in Icelandic translation, it's called a handbók. Like a handbók. If I remember correctly,
that's what I was checking it out online because now we have an Icelandic translation of it.
Yes,
which is amazing.
It is. So
and it was Tinna.
Yes,
who translated it.
Yes. Tinna is a speech therapist, and last year when we were in the a phase of our project where we had to present it to other people too. We gave a presentation for a couple of speech therapists, and Tinna was one of them, and she was very interested into help with the Icelandic translation.
Cool.
So
great. Yeah, I think that's very helpful because it makes it more accessible for more people.
Exactly.
And it's been translated into a few other languages, right?
Yes. So it's also available. Of course, in English, but then in Italian, Estonian, and Dutch.
Yeah. Okay.
And
cool.
Currently, it's in the form of online tool, so it can be found from stamily.org. So from the Stamily's website.
Yeah.
But we are also planning to publish PDF a version of it, so it could also be printed out a version. But it's still in the process because it's something what we are doing as an extra task after we have already officially finished this project.
Right. Yeah. And this is sponsored by the Erasmus Plus.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So we get our funding. From Erasmus Plus.
And it's also on stamily.org that you can become a member.
Yes.
Of Stamily.
Exactly.
Just so you know, guys. So you should check it out.
Exactly. and join our online and in-person meetings.
Yeah, definitely. So there's one more thing I want to talk about. Well, probably loads more. We'll see what happens. But next year, there's not going to be a Nordic conference per se, a Nordic seminar. It's because you and a few others are organizing a much bigger event.
Yes,
Can you tell us about that?
So the Finnish Stuttering Association, together with the International Stuttering Association, which is also called ISA, is gonna hold a World Congress in Finland, and it's gonna be in Lapland, Finland. So the Congress will be in August 2025, 5. And we are very excited about it.
Yeah, in Rovaniemi.
Yes, in Rovaniemi.
You did a short presentation about it in the Nordic Seminar the other day.
Exactly.
And Rovaniemi, I think I know this name because it's probably appeared in some crime shows.
It's crime shows?
Yeah. I think that must be the reason. Like in the dark north of Finland.
Yeah, like actually, I haven't ever heard about this crime thing, but Rovaniemi is actually known from the fact that it is home of Santa Claus.
Yeah, from the fact that
exactly, that is the fact.
And do people from like other countries up there agree with that? I think probably some people would say that he lives in Iceland, which is of course obviously not true because we have the 13
exactly
horrid ones.
Yeah, it is actually quite popular tourist destination. So like many tourists fly to Rovaniemi during the winter months to visit Santa Claus village, and they have many other type of activities too, with huskies and reindeers and
of course I think, do I remember correctly, there's more reindeers than people in this area?
Could be. I have to check my facts before I say anything too much.
So this is in August, and how many days is it? A weekend or?
It's a 5 days.
It's a 5 days.
Or the first and the last day will be half a day. So it's not going to be like a full day, but
Nice. And I'll probably just put it out there that if you want to go and you have a stutter, that you could get some financial aid from Málbjörg.
Yeah, and
we're trying to lure more people in.
And also people who clutter are also welcome to join.
Yes, that's people who clutter. I don't know too much about this, but I met someone the other day. So I need to educate myself.
Yeah.
So apparently there are some similarities, or at least in the experience, because of course there's like certain physical things or technical things about stuttering and cluttering, but I think often the experience can be similar in like how people see you and what challenges you meet in society and that sort of thing.
Exactly. Some of the experiences can be very similar, but then there is also some characteristics of cluttering that are a bit different from the stuttering. So some aspects it's also a bit different. Also, but like stuttering and cluttering can often also occur together. So you just don't have one, but you have both of them.
Yeah.
So there are many people also with stuttering community who also clutter at the same time.
Do you think people get like that they're regarded as like they have a stutter, but actually it's cluttering?
Yeah.
Or it's both, or like that they don't get the right, diagnosis, if we want to use that word.
Yeah, I have heard that there have been sometimes like misdiagnosis that somebody has been diagnosed that they have stuttering, but then they actually are cluttering.
Yeah, interesting. I need to read more about this. I mean, maybe I have cluttering. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what this is. No.
Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah. No, and sometimes I start like doubting myself and people are like, oh, you have Tourette's. And I'm like, no. And then I think, do I maybe have Tourette's? Yeah. Okay, yeah. I really look forward to that World Congress, and that's just open to anybody in the world.
It is. So like whether you are a person who stutters or clutters, or if you are a professional, or if you are a parent to a person who stutters or clutters, or if you're just in general interested in stuttering.
Yeah. Exactly. You're a stutter enthusiast.
Yeah.
Which there are more of now. Since we have the podcast, like I see people, people are liking it on social media and that sort of thing. I also see people who have nothing to do with stuttering, who listen to the show, which I find interesting.
Nice.
Because apparently, people listen to all sorts of things, because now we have podcasts about so people would listen to random things like stuttering. And that I've had people say to me like, oh, it's really interesting, and oh, I didn't know about this, but they don't know anybody who stutters, and so I find it really interesting that people would just like, I don't know.
That's great.
It's becoming a thing. No, it's
great.
not. So yes, the World Congress. Oh, yeah. One more thing. Is it? Do you have something for children there? Like, is it something that children could attend?
Yeah, so one of the biggest part of the World Congress is the workshops and presentations what the participants are going to host during the World Congress. So we have to see like if there will be some applications about those topics too. But yeah, they are welcome too.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, so if there's people hosting workshops that are, would be nice for children to.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Cool. Is there anything you want to add? Some wisdom, Satu wisdom.
Some Satu wisdom.
Or something you feel important that, I don't know, message to parents or to teenagers who stutter, or just something that people should know about it, or something you want to brag about, that you've done, like amazing things, like in your life? Skydiving? No.
Yeah, well, I think what I could say, what comes to stuttering is like, I would just encourage everyone to be open about it, because it can, when people know what's going on, then they know better how to react on it, and you also receive more fair treatment because people know about it. But it's not only you who it is benefiting, but also other people who stutter. So every time you open your mouth and speak about the stuttering, or you openly stutter yourself, you actually all the time spread awareness of stuttering.
Yeah.
And in this way, you can not only help yourself, but you can also help other people who stutter to be treated more equally and fairly.
That's a really good point,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for coming on the show. It was great to have you, because I thought we we would have to have like a Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
But then you just came over.
Exactly.
So we could do it live.
Thank you for inviting me. It was very nice to speak with you.
Thank you.